Young and the Restless, Y&R, spoilers tease that Adam Newman's life will be turned upside down in the new Y&R episodes starting Monday, August 10th. Now the secret of Victor Newman's AJ Montalvo has been revealed. It's time for the radioactive dust. Though Adam denies at first, acceptance will come, and that will sink Adam deeper than ever. Young and the Restless spoilers say that Chelsea Lawson and Newmans will both be featured in Adam's film, but we'd like to focus on how well Billy Abbott is. After Billy tried to take down Adam, he tried to fight his dark side. Billy learned to peacefully coexist with Adam, but not for long. Billy could easily turn Adam's childhood horror into the scandal everyone was talking about. Now that Billy runs the Prime Minister's communications, he can control important news in the city of Genoa. The Young and the Restless spoilers say that the rivalry between Adam and Billy will bring some explosive moments when new episodes return, so stay tuned. What can fans expect once Adam realizes he actually killed AJ? In an interview with Soap Opera Digest, screenwriter Y&R and co-executive producer Josh Griffith revealed some secrets of their own. Things are going to get pretty tough for Adam and those closest to him, so let's see what's coming. Adam's revelation will put him in an emotional state that we have never seen before, Griffith said. And that we will have a profound impact on the people around him. Adam certainly went to a dark place when he thought Victor was dead, but we'll see even more emotional depth according to Griffith. It looks like Adam will really lose control. Theo confidently claims that he understands the priorities and attention of young people, and clickbait is no longer as effective as before. He came up with the idea of Chancellor Communications' targeted demographic approach using his contacts. Theo realized that his 5 minutes had run out, and he thanked Billy and Lily for their time. Billy stopped him from leaving and revealed that Tracy had informed him that Theo had been fired. Billy dryly invited according to repost, like or share the truth according to claims that he was fired, and Billy scolded him for lying about it. According to the argument, he had limited time to make a pitch, and Lily asked what happened. According to claims that Kyle had kept it for him since Theo was hired, so the writing was hung on the wall when Jack set up a contest between them. Theo made it clear that he didn't blame Jack for anything, and that he wasn't lying when he said it was inappropriate. Chancellor believes he prefers his niche and emphasizes that he can come up with names on the list and more. He thought he wouldn't be standing there if Billy and Lily didn't care, and he thanked them again and left. Billy admits that Theo has kept an eye on the relationships and talents Chancellor needed. Lily is concerned that Theo lied about him being fired, but Billy understood why Theo wanted to make himself better. Lily reminded Billy that he said Theo was in trouble, but Billy admitted that for some reason, he liked Theo. Lily said in surprise that she and Billy had changed sides. Billy was so impressed that Theo didn't stumble, even as Billy threw all he had at him. He wanted to give Theo a chance. At the Crimson Lights, Theo hesitantly approaches Jack and tells him they have unfinished work. Theo regrets he left the conference room after being caught trying to make Jack's old presentation his own. Theo shared that he didn't want his old job back and he thought coming to Abbott was a mistake. Jack was pleased that Theo realized he had burned the bridge, and he wished he had foreseen the conflict between Kyle and Theo. Theo feels relieved to be back in the world again, pulling his own weight instead of handing everything over to him for DNA. Jack thinks it takes more Abbott's DNA to keep Abbott working, but he thinks he might have made the same statement that day if he was caught, though his carelessness was way multiply. It is possible that both of them inherited the same problem gene. As committed, he will not be immersed in the sunset, no matter where he stands with the rest of the family. He planned to still visit his grandmother, and he vowed not to have any arguments in front of her. Jack was thrilled that Theo wanted to spend time with Dina, and he emphasized that leaving the company doesn't mean losing connection with his family. At the Abbott mansion, Abby gave Jack a concerned look. She surmised that he was thinking about Dina, and he confirmed that he cares about his mother, their family and Theo. Jack said that Kyle told Abby that Theo was fired. Jack questioned whether the idea of having Kyle and Theo fight put pressure on Theo to cross the line. Abby points out that Theo has been troubling since he arrived in Genoa, but Jack dismisses that Theo is family and deserves a second chance. Jack scoffed at the idea that he and Abby knew nothing about stirring up trouble. Abby sympathized that Jack was torn about Theo, and she thought it might be too much to hope Theo would treat the Abbotts as a family. Jack explains that he wants to give his mother one last gift by introducing her to his nephew while replacing Theo's family that has passed away. Abby gently assures Jack that he did, and that the radioactive dust belongs to Theo. She advised Jack not to worry about Theo because Theo always landed on his feet. At the society, Theo played a video on the phone that he filmed to show that he was looking for the next big thing. He turned it off and muttered that the first step was to redo the video. A waiter placed a takeout bag on the bar, and Theo noticed that the receipt was from Chancellor Communications. He excitedly jotted down a piece of paper and shoved it in his carry-on bag. At Chancellor Communications, Lily looked at some of the changes Billy made to some of the contracts they signed with Amanda the day before, and she wondered what prompted his new caution. Lily recounted that during his meeting with Amanda, Billy showed respect instead of being stubborn. Billy insisted that he respected Amanda's expertise, but Lily did sense an unpleasant vibe between Billy and Amanda. Lily questioned if it was a mistake to hire a lawyer. Then, Billy came back after lunch, and Lily complained that he dodged her earlier question. Billy defended that he was nothing more than an Amanda supporter, but Lily tried to hear the full story that happened between them. Billy remembers that Amanda was a good friend of his when his relationship with Victoria ended, but he insists that he and Amanda weren't romantically involved. Lily asked if either of them was agitated. Billy admits that there were times when he thought something happened there, but Amanda was too smart to interfere with him. Billy swears he's fine working with Amanda, but he's just adapting to the new professional dynamism. Billy boasted that no one could hold back his visionary abilities. He began to open his belongings and found Theo's piece of paper. Billy announced that they had received an offer from a potential Abbott family fugitive. Billy and Lily went through the list of names Theo had submitted, and she recognized a number of influencers and bloggers they wanted to work with. She assumed the notes meant Theo had access to them, and she turned to her computer to look up names she didn't know. Billy explained that Theo was a kind of Abbott family member, the child of a child Dina abandoned to adopt. Billy added that he and Theo were not related, and he didn't trust Theo, but Jack welcomed Theo into the family. According to Billy, Theo and Kyle used to be friends in New York, but the relationship broke down. Lily assumed it might not be Theo's fault. Billy thinks that the piece of paper means that the job Jack gave Theo at Abbott has also collapsed. Lily was impressed with the names on Theo's list, and she complimented him on his talent. She questioned how big the risk Theo would be, and Billy shared that he warned Kyle that Theo was a threat. Meanwhile, Theo watched his second attempt at making a video about going back into business, and he boredly called it a lame. He got up when the phone rang. Billy asked Theo to Chancellor Communications immediately if he wanted to play 10 minutes. According to the answer that he only needed 5, and he jumped out. According to The Office, Billy introduced him to Lily, who complimented Theo's unusual way of working. Theo says he likes to stand out from the crowd, but Billy compared it to a square peg in a round hole. According to the statement that he has heard great things about Chancellor Communications, but Lily says she has the impression that he has worked for Abbott. According to the statement he went on because it was not a match. Theoretically, it's too collective and he prefers to have freedom of speech. Billy warns that Theo's days are passing. Ray had escorted Sharon home after her surgery. She asked where everyone was, and he asked how she felt. She replied that she was happy that the surgery was over and she just wanted to breathe a little. He assured her that the house was quiet to give her a chance to rest. Mariah, Tessa, Faith and Nick rushed in and chaotic about Sharon. Faith asked if the doctors had removed the cancer or if it had spread. The group looked at each other nervously. Sharon explained that she is still waiting for her medical report, but she is expected to still have chemotherapy and radiation therapy. Sharon wondered what smelled good, and Tessa, Mariah and Faith revealed that they had picked takeout from all of Sharon's favorite locations. Tessa says they ran into Nick and Phyllis while choosing a deep-filled pizza. Sharon was surprised to learn Nick had pizza with Phyllis, and she wondered what she'd missed. Reluctantly, Nick says he doesn't want to risk offending Sharon any sooner, but he and Phyllis are back together. Sharon is shocked and stammered that she has nowhere to handle the news. Tessa apologizes for saying anything, and Sharon assures her that it was not her fault. Sharon sees it as just another example of how the world is turning. She and Nick have been on that path before. Nick swore it wasn't a secret, but he was just waiting for the right moment to tell her. Sharon thinks it explains about the gift basket Phyllis had sent out prior to the surgery. Nick was about to take off, and Sharon coldly thanked him for checking on her. Nick left, and Sharon asked Ray to lead her upstairs. After that, Mariah explained that Sharon shouldn't get out of bed. Sharon complains that she can't sleep and she doesn't want to be alone. Mariah offered to call everyone in from the kitchen, but Sharon wanted to talk privately about her scar. Mariah wondered if Sharon should talk to her doctor, but Sharon liked to talk to another woman who would understand what she was feeling. Sharon realized that she hadn't seen what she looked like underneath her eyes, but she knew she would look different from before. Sharon bristly asks if her concern is superficial, but Mariah insists that whoever judges Sharon will have to answer Mariah. Mariah continued that it was normal for Sharon to care about her looks, and it would be strange if Sharon didn't. Sharon complained that she ate healthy and exercised, thinking she had control over her body, but her cancer had begun to strike. She was scared to know what this disease had done to her. Mariah says the stitch may not be noticeable, but Sharon suspects it could be after the major surgery. Mariah retorted that Sharon had a suit of permanent cover. Sharon lamented that she would still see it, and Mariah realized her mother was worried about Ray's reaction. Mariah was sure Ray wouldn't care, but Sharon sobbed that she would. We'll keep updating you as we get more information. Y&R fans won't want to miss out on all the shocking things ahead, especially the ones for Adam and Billy. SOS will have other interesting news and updates on Young and the Restless, so don't forget to make us a source of insight for us.
Abby can even become a truly dependent couple. To Abby.